Before we get started, a quick disclaimer. This podcast is for educational and informational purposes only. Nothing shared here should be taken as legal or medical advice, and listening to this podcast does not create an attorney-client or consulting relationship. Every case is unique and laws vary by jurisdiction, so always consult with a qualified attorney or appropriate professional regarding your specific situation. Now that we've got that covered, let's get into it.
Welcome to the Attorneys Resource Legal Nurse podcast, where we spotlight attorneys in personal injury, medical malpractice, workers' compensation, criminal, and healthcare law through focused conversations on the intersection of medicine and litigation. Each episode explores how medical insight strengthens legal strategy and case outcomes while improving collaboration, communication, and effectiveness in medically complex cases. Today, I am honored to welcome Kurt London. Kurt is a graduate from Brigham Young University in 2012 with a Bachelor's of Arts degree. He then worked as a paralegal for Utah disability legal firm before law school. Kurt completed his Juris Doctorate at the J. Reuben Clark School of Law in 2016. He is a personal injury attorney and handles cases as a partner of London and Harker, including car accidents and other vehicle accidents involving commercial trucks, buses, or other public transportation, pedestrians, motorcycles, scooters, and bicycles. He also handles cases involving wrongful death, dog bites, slips and falls, premise liability, and almost any other kind of case involving injury. Kurt London is licensed to practice law in the states of Utah, Montana, and Arizona, and he is a member of those state bars. He's a member of the Montana Trial Lawyers Association, Utah Association of Justice, the UAJ, and sits on UAJ's Legislative Affairs Committee. Kurt also serves as the current board president of the Rocky Mountain Innocence Center. Kurt, welcome to the Attorneys Resource podcast. I am so happy to have you here. And I am sure that this interview is going to be an outstanding one for those that are listening.
Oh, don't set the bar too high, but thanks for having me, Jamie.
We recently had an opportunity to have a great conversation just to get to know each other. And I do want to let people know how personal you are. It was so easy to sit down with you, to just engage in a conversation. And I know you have a strong presence on LinkedIn. And just to let those that are listening know, if they're curious, that you are exactly who you say you are. Very personal, very open to engaging in conversation to get to know people. And I enjoyed my time with you, so I'm hoping that everyone listening will be able to do the same here today. So tell me a little bit about your area of practice. How did you end up where you are today in the seat that you're in?
Oh, that's a long story. It started before law school when I was involved in a motorcycle accident where I had to have back surgery, and I had no legal direction at all because the adjuster told me not to hire an attorney. So I basically botched my own case. I didn't find the right medical providers. I didn't get the care I needed. I settled for pennies on the dollar. And then later on, I had to have back surgery. Now I need another back surgery. And I've always had what my mom calls a savior complex, where I like to help people all the time, whether or not it's good for my bottom dollar or not. So that's why I worked as a nonprofit attorney for a few years out of law school, and then went into injury law, which I had worked for as a paralegal before law school. And I've been doing that ever since. And I opened my own law firm about 3 years ago because I wanted to practice law the way I thought was the best and ethical way. And usually what that means is we take on cases we're not going to get paid on, and we know we're not going to get paid on because it's the right thing to do. And unfortunately, a lot of law firms don't like that. So that's why I opened my own shop, so we can actually do what's right. If it happens to work out and we get paid, that's great. If not, at least we help someone else in the process.
So that really answers my question about what makes your area of practice unique, and that's you are truly in it to serve others. And that, from my perspective as a registered nurse, and the foundation of why we practice nursing really resonates with me, which is another reason why I think I connected with you so easily, is that you're here to serve. Am I understanding that as?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Well, I'm a big believer. If you do the right thing, then good things happen to you. But just do the right thing for the right reasons, and everything will work out. Everyone's so money motivated nowadays. I feel like Just focus on the right thing.
I agree. So, in all of that, what is the biggest challenge that you face in your area of practice?
Oh gosh. It kind of changes. Our biggest one right now is we have a big push for tort reform, which is where the insurance companies and Uber is the biggest one, are pouring tons of money into each state to change the laws. So like last year, during our legislative session, which is a short session, it's only 6 weeks, about 10% of the bills that were being pushed were tort reform. And by tort reform, it's making it harder for people to have cases, get medical treatment that they need, and get compensation from insurance companies. So Uber, for instance, um, has a product where every 8 minutes in the United States, someone is sexually assaulted by an Uber driver because you're getting in a car with a stranger. And instead of doing the right thing and changing safety protocols and procedures, they made it and are trying to make it harder for these people to hire attorneys and to get help. So instead of fixing the problem, they'd rather just fix their bottom dollar and keep the profits the way they are. And unfortunately, insurance companies kind of act the same way. So that's probably the biggest hurdle we have right now. Utah law changed significantly about 8 months ago, where the Supreme Court adopted California law and changed everything topsy-turvy, 180 degrees on its head with how things work here because of insurance companies pushing laws through the court system too. So it's a moving target and it's always changing. And that's probably the biggest hurdle that we have right now.
So, how does that affect your current casework, especially those cases that are more complex?
Oh, I mean, to be quite frank, so this big change that happened is goes against what's called the collateral source rule, which when an auto accident happens, the auto carrier, so let's just say, Progressive, Geico, whatever, cannot get the benefit of someone having health insurance. So if I get injured and I've been spending $2,000 a month on my health insurance premium, State Farm or Progressive doesn't get the benefit of me having health insurance. Well, they just slashed that. So now cases where we had, $1 million in medical bills, they used their health insurance. Now the juries are going to be punishing them because instead of looking at the $1 million of medical bills for their surgeries, they're going to look at the $50,000 that the health insurance adjusted it down to. So when a jury sees $50,000 of medical treatment, well, that doesn't sound that significant, right? So then they're going to reduce the recovery for it. So we had all these cases where we were using health insurance, and all of a sudden, all those clients are being punished now. So in the middle of litigation, we had to stop everything, change trial strategy, change everything, and we're trying to figure out and piece it together case by case right now. But it literally changed everything 180 degrees.
Wow, that's significant. It is significant, especially if you think about those that have sustained long-term, lifelong injuries that
Yep.
will require ongoing
Yep.
medical care. So, how do you utilize? Part of my curiosity in these interviews is the utilization of legal nurses, experts. So, in a situation like that, how do you utilize your experts to help support that casework? Are you able to go beyond that set insurance amount?
There are ways to do it. It just takes a lot more time and effort. So building up the general damages, limitations and such, which LNC's legal nurses are really great at. Also future damages, which also LNCs are really good at. The issue we're having right now is the Supreme Court didn't determine how that impacts the future case costs. So how can you predict in 15 years what a person's health insurance is going to charge for a back surgery? So right now we're going forward with all the help we can from LNCs and others to build those damages up, but really no one knows how it's going to be impacted in the court. It's kind of a no man's land right now.
Okay, so if let's say I were to come work for you as a legal nurse consultant, what would be the most important thing you would want me to know about the casework that you work on, that you complete, about you as an attorney? What would be the most important message for a legal nurse consultant getting in touch with you?
So we're a bit different than most attorneys. I actually had this come up last week. When we hire a professional like an LNC or some kind of expert, I'm not hiring a yes man. I need to know the hard truth. And I don't know what I don't know. I didn't go to med school. I'm not a nurse, right? I'm not an expert in those fields. I just know there's red flags and there's issues, and I don't know exactly what they are, but I'm not hiring someone and paying them lots of money to tell me what I want to hear. If there's something bad, I need to know up front so I can deal with it. Whereas a lot of attorneys just want to hire a yes man and just have their expert yes man against the defense expert yes man. And I've had cases where I've hired a recent one was a coffee burn case, and we hired an expert. Come to find out, the injuries sustained were from diabetes, not from the burn. So we spent $10,000 to talk to this expert, but we found out we had no case. Well, I'd rather have that happen up front than get in front of a jury and realize I have no case. So
Right.
that's the biggest thing. Just the brutal honesty is what we need.
Right. I think that, I mean, that benefits everybody, right?
Yep.
Including the client. I think it's important for them to know, because when we're wronged and we are looking to seek restitution for that wrong, sometimes we're not always in the position of receiving the restitution we believe that we should have because it wasn't actually what occurred or the cause. And I think I agree with you. I think that is important. I equate it sometimes to how we handle medical diagnoses in our nursing world as well. Patients need to know the truth.
Yep.
That's their right to autonomy and their right to self-determination and
Yep.
how they want to proceed from that. And if we hide that from them, we're not doing anyone an ounce of good in any situation. So I can see how that is extremely important. So when we kind of go back a little bit to how you got your start, is there anyone that you attribute your success to? Have you had great mentors along the way? Did you talked a little bit about your accident, and how that spurred you into your legal practice and a lot of your burning desire. But did you rely on anyone along the way? Did you model yourself after anyone?
Um, there's probably two people that impacted my career the most. The one is the chiropractor I trusted with my own accident, which did an awful job, which taught me a lot of lessons. The other one is an attorney named Steve Sullivan. He is kind of the godfather of personal injury in Utah. He was the president and CEO of the biggest law firm in Utah for about 40 years. And Steve was really big on ethics. Ethics were a huge thing for Steve. And seeing a successful attorney do the right thing in all instances really made a big impact on me on how to do my own practice. And it really shows you a juxtaposition with the other law firms that don't act that way. So people think that if you can't get your money today, then you're not going to get paid. So you got to do whatever you can to get that paycheck, and that's just not the case. So I just turn that into soaking up any kind of information legally, ethically, and otherwise to try to better myself, to be the best attorney, and to do it and implement it the right way.
And it goes back to just doing the right thing and just knowing, we've talked about this before, an abundance mindset, knowing that it may not come to you in the way that you think it should, but it will come back to you, that there's more than enough. And
Yep.
we operate that way here. So I fully relate to that. And I'm hoping that others can relate to that as well. It's a great mindset to have. So if you were talking to the younger you or to an attorney that is just getting ready to take the bar, get into practice, do their thing, what kind of advice would you give them?
Oh, embrace your curiosity. So take whatever time you need, take other attorneys and experts out to lunch, pick people's brains. You don't know everything, which is, something my parents always told me growing up, and I didn't believe them. But people have years of experience. Lean on that and just embrace it. People know that you don't know everything, and that's fine. But read books, go to conferences, be involved in the community, and learn as much about everything as you can.
I agree. And isn't it funny that you bring up parents because I think we all reject our parents at a certain point of time, and then we realize that we are them.
Yeah,
I was
they were
just
right
in
the whole
a
time.
Exactly, exactly. I was just driving with our oldest daughter, and she said, "There are so many times now in my life that I speak, and all of a sudden I think I'm you. I hear you." And I said, that is just the cruelness of the world. That's what I said to her. That's the cruelness of the world.
Yeah,
That helps you realize that at some point you do know that parents knew something because we've lived it, and now you get to live it too. So yes,
exactly
exactly.
right.
I think we have all been there. So what trends do you see especially with the changes that have occurred in Utah. What trends do you see that are going to really heavily impact your practice area in personal injury?
Two big ones. It's the tort reform that we kind of discussed, but also AI, the implementation of AI. And we're in a weird space. We're in this dot-com bubble where everyone is trying to run faster than they're aware. Changes are happening so fast, no one even knows the implementations, right? Technology that was great 3 weeks ago is obsolete today. But what's really scary is people like you and I have licenses, professional licenses.
Mhm.
So embracing this technology and putting like legal information, social security numbers, HIPAA documents into these abysses and hoping that it spits out something that you can use is so scary. So I know a lot of my colleagues are implementing a lot of AI, and we're really hesitant. We have implemented some, and it will be game changing in our industry. But with how technical and important legally and medically and otherwise our work is, I think we're years from actually being able to fully embrace it. Like for instance, I did a trial run on a demand prep AI software that's really big with my colleagues. And I took a case that I've already settled, right? We had a prep for trial. I knew the case inside and out. And I put it in this demand software to see what it spit out. And all of a sudden, my client, who had no pre-existing injuries, had tons of pre-existing injuries. I'm like, what is going on here? How did this program find these injuries that I never saw? So I'm going through and it flagged every single acute injury from the ER as pre-existing. So the broken bones, everything else was all pre-existing. So that means that throughout the entire chronology that it spit out, it flagged all that as pre-existing. That is really scary. Like such an obvious mistake.
That
So
is that
it's
is
just trying
really
to implement
scary.
the business side of AI without having impact your license and your clients negatively right now is kind of like a tightrope act that we're all trying to walk right now.
I agree. I think it honestly opens the door for improved practice for legal nurse consultants.
Yep.
We very quickly took on responsibility to offer services in AI verification. Is the information that you are receiving from your product actually accurate enough to take you into the courtroom? Are the references it is providing you accurate? Are we able to actually link that for you? So I think it has actually opened up another service for those professionals that are in my line of work, which in somewhat, is a little bit of a blessing because we're going to have to shift and pivot too with all of this. Taking away, the idea of doing just a down and dirty chronology. Well, AI might be able to do that, but then who's going to verify all that? And are people
Exactly.
really going to verify all of that? It's still going to take work. It's still going to take time. I see on the legal nurse side, and I'm curious to know if you're seeing this from an attorney's perspective as well, that people are not educated enough to know the difference between HIPAA compliant open AI, HIPAA compliant closed AI, and what they're putting into those AI systems or even out into social media. I've seen medical records getting cut and pasted into these systems that are not protected, which that information is coded. It has special, and once you put it in there, the whole issue with HIPAA is control. So
Yep.
how many people understand that you're no longer HIPAA compliant because you've just lost control over what's happening to that medical record and information? Even if you redact it in some of those systems, it's not safe to do. So are you
Yeah.
seeing that as well?
We are, and we're also seeing it on the attorney-client privilege side. So, the federal courts have just ruled that using an open AI source like that and asking it questions is not privileged because attorney-client privilege is between the attorney and the client. So when you're introducing a third party, this AI, you're waiving your attorney-client privilege. And that goes for me and that goes for my client. So if my client is using it too, they're waiving it. So this case was a criminal law case where the federal government was able to go subpoena a bunch of these documents and information that the defendant was putting into the system, which was supposed to be privileged. So it's not only HIPAA, it's also attorney-client privilege. And honestly, attorneys aren't sophisticated to know or to ask if it's closed AI or not and how to implement it and use it properly. They're just using ChatGPT and Claude and just throwing it all in there and hoping there's no issues coming up later from it.
And then they're losing the protected privilege on that.
Yep.
That's interesting. So that protected privilege is not, I'll have to go look that up and do a little more detail because we won't have time to explore it in a 30-minute interview. But does that apply to all AI systems? So there are tools, I know project management tools that law firms have been using for years and years that now have AI systems being built into them. Does that impact those things when they are solely HIPAA compliant?
It has to be a closed network. So like we
Okay,
use CasePeer, everything's on CasePeer, our documents and such, but only our law firm can access any of that.
right. Okay,
But you have to make sure it's a closed system or a closed network. I mean, most of these programs that you're paying $15 a month aren't.
right,
There's a
right,
reason why CasePeer is so expensive. It's because you have to host your own cloud and data services and storage somewhere else, right?
right.
Yeah.
Right. So it also brought me to another concept I heard about a year ago at a conference that I attended where AI in the medical field, there's argument about whether or not AI stands alone as its own person in the decision making and who's responsible for the errors in medical care that come from that. So this will be a really
Yeah.
interesting, we've had I don't know, as a Gen Xer, I feel like I've lived through so much. And I'm sure our ancestors also felt the same way, but it'll be interesting to see how all this plays out in the next 15 to 20 years
Yeah.
and what truly happens with all of it. So Kurt, what sets you apart from all of the competitors other than your free service? If I have a need and I'm looking for a personal injury attorney, why am I coming to you?
A couple things. One is my own unique background where I have been a victim and I felt victimized by that process. So I understand what it's like to be in their shoes. And a lot of people aren't as injured as I am. I mean, I have significant pain every day of my life. My doctors told me I have to be on pain meds the rest of my life. Um, Not only that, but with my experience working for the Innocence Project, we were investigating cases that were 30 years old. We were uniquely trained to track down any and every single lead possible. And a lot of attorneys don't do that. That's why a lot of attorneys focus just on car accidents. They just want to have an easy case where the cops show up at the scene, they do an initial investigation with a police report, and that's it. And we just don't think that's sufficient. We track down any and every lead because we think and we practice that we want to prepare every case for trial. Because by the time you get into litigation, a lot of that evidence is gone because you didn't send preservation letters, you didn't request it in the beginning, you didn't spend the time and money and effort to get the body cam or the dash cam or the radar information from the intersections. So that's one thing we do is we investigate everything and follow every lead to the end.
That's wonderful. So I want to extend upon that a little bit further into a conversation that we had the last time we spoke. For legal nurse consultants, how, as an attorney, do you want networking to occur?
This is one of not my pet peeves, but this is like I see a big need and I just want to educate them because there's this rumor, well, it's not wrong, that a lot of attorneys are on LinkedIn, which we are. But they are also told, legal nurse consultants, that you just need to approach attorneys on LinkedIn and you'll get business. And that's not how it works. Attorneys, we bill by our time. So when people send me a few paragraphs and a Calendly link or a resume or something, you are literally asking for me to stop working and to give you my time or my free service to review all of this. And attorneys are just instantly gonna delete, gonna ignore, gonna block you because we don't have time. What we do make time for are relationships. So if I know someone and I make a relationship with someone, you better believe that after I get to know you, I'll do whatever you want. If you want to spend time on a half-hour call or want me to review something or pick your brain about something, then I'll do it. So you have to approach an attorney with the goal of making a relationship first and offering value first to get their attention before you approach them. Sliding into their DMs and pitch slapping them is not the way to do it because there's no faster way to get shut down by an attorney. I mean, my receptionist's whole job basically is to gatekeep from calls like this because people go on LinkedIn or they call my office or they try to get through my staff somehow to get to me. And I just don't have time. I get pitch slap 30 times a day. But you know what? If you take the time to get to know me and reach out to me just to have a conversation, or if you're in the area, grab lunch, grab coffee, then you better believe that I'll start trusting you to make a working relationship with you. And that's the thing that everyone misses is the relationship and taking the time to do it. They just skip into this attorney has work. They must need a legal nurse consultant. Here's my resume. I'm offering discounts right now. Hire me, hire me, hire me. It's not the way to do it.
Right. Well, I've never favored discounts anyway because discounts don't equal quality. And
And
there is a
I've
nice,
seen that in my DMs lately, though. That's a big selling point
yeah,
right now. The last week or two, I've had 3 or 4 offering discounted rates.
it is. I see it too, and it scares me a little bit because I do know that people really do want the work. But at the same time, it doesn't equate to quality. And it also
Exactly.
doesn't express to an attorney what this actually costs so that they can be very honest with their client. So the undercutting, the discounts, there are ways to do that once the relationship is built in a much different
Yes.
way than just cutting it right from the beginning because it sets the wrong expectations. So I
Yeah.
can completely relate to you in regard to that. So Kurt, we have 1 minute left before I thank everybody for joining us. What is one thing that's not listed anywhere that nobody knows, but they would find interesting to learn about you?
Um, I carry $40 of cash in my wallet at all times, just in case I come across a taco cart that has good tacos. I will do anything for a good street taco. That's
That's
something no
awesome.
one knows about me. I have an
Awesome.
emergency taco fund.
You know what? I might start doing that now. Maybe not for tacos, but ice cream or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm one to always say, I don't have any cash.
Yep.
Yes. So I might change that. That's interesting. So Kurt, I want to thank you for joining us. This has been a wonderful opportunity to get to know you better. And the audience, I'm sure, is going to love this episode. For those that are listening, I would like to thank you for spending time with us today. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe, share it with someone in the legal medical world, and keep the conversation going. This is Jamie Gary, the founder of UpVision Consulting LLC and the Attorneys Resource Conference, reminding you the story is always in the medical records. We will see you on the next episode.
If you have found this episode valuable, be sure to like it, subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a colleague handling medically complex cases. If you are an attorney looking for deeper medical insight to strengthen your case strategy, or you are a legal nurse ready to elevate how you support litigation, I invite you to connect with me and learn more about UpVision Consulting LLC in the show notes, because stronger collaboration leads to stronger outcomes.